Hello students, welcome to this discussion video. This is a continuation of our topic all about the introduction to accounting. So this time, we will be discussing some basic accounting principles. So even if you are not accounting or accountancy students, but it is very important for you to understand basic accounting principles because this will help you understand more, appreciate more the concepts, theories, or the principles behind, no, or the reason why we are um, treating these items like this. No? It's because we have this basic accounting principles of which you should also understand. So we have here generally accepted accounting principles. So in accounting, we have this term, no? Ang tawag namin ay GAAP. So, pag sinabi natin GAAP, so these are conventions, rules, procedures, which are necessary to define the accepted accounting practice of a particular time. So, ibig sabihin sa accounting, hindi lang tayo basta-basta um, record ng transaction or maggawa ng report. But take note that there are really rules to follow. No? Yun yung tinatawag natin na Generally Accepted Accounting Principles or GAAP. In the Philippines, we have PFRS and PAS as our accounting standards. So, PFRS stands for Philippine Financial Reporting Standards, whereas PAS stands for Philippine Accounting Standards. So, ito yung mga standards na pina-follow no, ng mga accountants in preparing financial statements, which we termed as general purpose financial statements. So, ibig sabihin, kahit sinong interested user ay pwedeng gumamit na ng report na yun or yung financial statements na yun. Kasi it is for general purpose. So let us discuss the basic principles in accounting. So first is this objectivity principle. So ano ibig sabihin nito? In accounting class, no, yung accounting records should be based on information that flows to the entity from activities documented by objective evidence. So ibig sabihin, hindi ka basta-basta mag-record ng isang transaction kung wala kang pinagbasehan. Say for example, magre-recognize ka or magre-record ka ng sales. So of course, dapat merong source document na pinagbasehan ka, no? Bakit mo alam or bakit mo alam na merong sales? So of course, you base that no, to your invoice, no, or the sales invoice that you have issued. So yan, no, there is really this source document na dapat nating pagbasehan. So hindi siya gawa-gawa lang ng accountant. So dapat meron talagang past transaction and that is evidenced by source documents. Say, for example, mag-recognize ka ng utang, no? Mag-recognize ka ng utilities payable kasi meron pang electricity bill na hindi mo pa nabayaran. So, ano yung proof mo? So, yung proof mo would be yung billing galing sa electric company. So, that's the principle of objectivity. So, dapat meron basihan ng ating pag-record ng mga transactions. Next is yung historical cost principle. So this principle states that the newly acquired assets should be recorded at their actual cost and not at what management thinks they are worth as at the reporting date. So pag tayo bumili ng assets, say for example, bumili ka ng sasakyan or delivery truck, so that delivery truck should be recognized at cost. So nabili mo siya, for example, at 200,000. So you're going to recognize that at 200,000 because that is its historical cost. So sa records mo, yun yung dapat na iyong value na sa iyong asset na na-acquire. But of course, that amount will be decreased over time because of what we call depreciation, na depreciation ng equipment or depreciation ng asset. Another is yung revenue recognition principle. So this recognizes revenue at the period the products delivered and services are rendered or performed. So dito sa revenue recognition principle, this will be our guide kung kailan ba tayo dapat mag-recognize ng revenue. So in accounting, pag sinabi mong revenue, yun yung sa layman's term pa is ang ating benta, no? So yung sales natin, for example, if you are selling goods. So if you're selling, for example, service, of course, that will be your service income. Na yung, kailan ba tayo mag-recognize ng revenue? So, mag-recognize lang tayo ng revenue kapag na-deliver na natin yung products or na-render na natin yung services, no? Or na-perform na natin yung services. So, pag wala pang delivery ng goods, wala pang performance of the service, then we do not recognize yet revenue. So, hintayin muna natin na ma-earn natin ang ating revenue, saka natin siya i-record. So, when is that? That is when you have delivered already the services and or the products. Or you have delivered already the products and performed already the services. Another is this expense recognition principle. So, ito naman related sa expense. So, this tells us that ang expense daw na i-recognize natin at the period it is used to produce the product or services. So, ang term natin dito sa accounting ay mag-recognize ka lang ng expense kapag incurred na siya. So, kailan ba siya incurred na? So, incurred siya kapag nagamit mo na siya, na-consume mo na, nag-lapse na ang time no, na-incur. For example, yung interest, for example, no, yung interest na nag-accrue na kasi nga babayaran mo pa siya sa susunod na taon. Pero because of the passage of time, meron ng interest dapat ikaw na i-recognize. Another is yung naka-benefit ka na or na-consume mo na. So, for example, electricity, no? So, itong electricity bill na to, ang bill na to is applicable for this month. But usually, di ba, yung electricity bill, makukuha natin at the next month. So, dito sa expense recognition principle, it states that kailan mo ba daw dapat i-recognize yung expense? Say, for example, March na electricity bill na receive mo yung April. So, kailan ba daw dapat i-recognize yung expense na in relation to that electricity bill? So, sabi dito sa expense recognition principle, dapat i-recognize mo yung expense sa period kung kailan mo ginamit na yung kuryente. So, since nagamit mo siya nung March, so dapat yung expense na yun should be reported sa month ng March. No? At hindi sa April kung saan mo natanggap ang billing. So, that is expense recognition principle. Another is the principle of adequate disclosures. Ano ibig sabihin nito? So, pag sinabi natin adequate disclosure, no? Adequate meaning sapat. So, disclosure is something that you are telling your users na meron kang dinadivulge, na meron kang sinasabi. So, ano bang nandito sa adequate disclosures? So, it requires that all relevant information that would affect the user's understanding and assessment of the accounting entity must be disclosed properly in the face of the financial reports. No? So, Ibig sabihin, class, no, lahat ng mga relevant information, say for example, on the face of your financial statements, um, nag-report ka doon ng inventory. No, meron kang inventory na ni-report worth 200,000. Kaso lang, no, for example, no, nag-count ka, nag-physical count, nagkanda ka ng physical count, nag-inventory ka noong December 31. So, you have determined that you have 200,000 worth of inventory. Now, pagdating ng January 1, nasunog yung warehouse mo, yung bodega mo. So, of course, kung nasunog yung bodega, so most probably, that 200,000 worth of inventory is wala na. So, ang gagawin natin, dapat malagay natin yan sa tinatawag nating notes to financial statements, ang information na yan. No? Dapat alam ng mga users na yung 200,000 na present mo doon sa financial statement ay wala na pala kasi nga nasunog, no? You have to disclose that in your notes to financial statements. So, yun lang yung sinasabi dito sa adequate disclosure na dapat lahat ng relevant information na you think can affect, no, the understanding and assessment of the users about the entity, you should disclose it. So, dapat sabihin mo, no, through your notes to financial statements. Another principle is the principle of materiality. So, ang tawag namin dito ay the principle of convenience. So, this is concerned with the significance of the information that must be presented in the financial report that are enough to evaluate and craft decision. So, kasi ganito siya. Ideally, di ba, lahat ng items should be presented in the financial statements. No? So, dapat na-report lahat yon para masasabi natin na kumpleto yung reports natin. Now, there are times wherein pwede nang hindi masunod in tuto yung principle or yung standard because of this materiality principle or the principle of convenience. Like, for example, it is really ideal, no, for an asset to be depreciated, no. Kapag bumili ka ng asset na magagamit mo pa for more than 1 year, most probably dapat ang gawin mo dyan, i-report mo siya as asset and then i-depreciate mo siya over time, no. Dahan-dahan nating kunin or i-recover yung value niya, yung amount niya through depreciation. Kaso lang, say for example, the cost of that particular asset that you acquired, say for example, monoblock chair. So, the cost of that is only 200 pesos. So, it will be impractical, no, for you to depreciate, no, imagine siyang haguan o depreciate kada bulan when in fact the amount is not that material. So, hindi naman siya masyadong significant. So, that is why pwede na that instead of depreciating it over a period of time, so pwede nang for that particular asset, pwede mo nang i-report or i-depreciate lahat, i-report na lang lahat as expense, no, for a particular period para hindi na or para convenient na lang, no, in terms of record keeping. So, yan yung materiality concept. And take note class ha, ang materiality is wala siyang absolute value. So, it is relative. So, pag sinabi nating material itong item na to or significant itong item na to for this particular entity, it has something to do with the size of the company. See, for example, pag sinabi nating 1,000 ba is material or not? So, question mark, no? Ang 1,000 ba material or significant or not? So, depende yan sa company to which it relates to. So, for example, ang company, ang 1,000 is very material to a sari-sari store. Say for example, na short, no, or may nawalang 1,000 worth of inventory. Sa maliit na sari-sari store, that amount is very material or very significant. Kasi konti lang naman yung kanyang um, capitalization. Pero pag sinabi mo 1,000, para sa mga companies na malalaki, like for example, San Miguel Corporation, no, yung malalaking mga company. So that 1,000 may not be that significant or not that material. Kasi nga, in relation to the size of the company, maliit lang masyado ang 1,000. Another thing is that, no, para maintindihan yung concept ng materiality, di ba class, pag meron kang pera, or marami kang pera, for sure, pag meron kang nakitang piso sa kalsada, you will not bother yourself, no, na kunin yun. Kasi nga, yung piso na yun will not be material to you kasi marami ka namang pera. But, kung wala kang pera, tapos nakakita ka ng 1 peso sa daan, so for sure, babalikan mo yun. No? Kukunin mo yun kasi for you, that amount is material or significant. Kasi nga, wala kang pera. No? So, may na lang pampalito guys, water ang piso nga mo nakitaan. Okay, another is this one. No? Another basic principles in accounting is the consistency principle. So here, the company should report the same transaction with the same method of recording or recognition. So, consistency, di ba, dapat kung ano yung ginawa mo last year, yun din yung gagawin mo this year. So, this one, consistency principle is important for us to achieve comparability of information. Kasi kung hindi the same yung method of recording mo last year sa taong ito, for sure you cannot compare amounts, no? Hindi mo pwedeng ma-compare yung ni-report or yung report mo last year, this year, kung hindi the same yung methods na in-apply mo. Although, this will not mean na diligid pwede mag-change, no? Because change can be allowed only if the change really would make the report more meaningful, no, mas mahimo siyang relevant sa mga users of information. So pwede ra mag-usab as long as you have to disclose it. Now, remember the principle of adequate disclosure. You have to disclose it in the financial statements. Then we have the matching principle. So in this principle, this is a concept that no expenses can be recognized if the revenue or income is also not recognized and vice versa. So ano ibig sabihin? Matching principle, we're talking about here revenue and expense. So take note na hindi ka naman makaka-earn ng revenue kung wala kang sinacrifice na expense. So ang sinasabi lang dito sa matching principle is that you should match, no? You should report on the same period yung revenue sa kanyang related or yung expense sa kanyang related na revenue. Say for example, meron kang sales, no, na nakabenta ka ng 1 sack of rice. So the amount is 2,200. So that's your revenue, yung sales mo na 2,200. Now, bakit ka nakabenta ng 2,200 na worth of rice, no, or 1 sack of rice? It's because you purchased ahead, no, 1 sack of rice. So yung pinambili mo ng bigas, no, that will be your expense or cost, no? So yan yung cost mo. So dapat pag mag-report ka ng 2,200 as sales, i-report mo din as your cost ang pinambili mo ng bigas, which is, for example, 1,500. So, yan yung cost ng iyong sale. And you also have to include expenses, like for example, baka nagbayad ka pa ng laborer, no, para magbuhat ng isang sakong bigas, then you should also include that because these are expenses which relates to that particular revenue. So, yun yung matching principle. So, dapat i-report natin at the same period ang expense kung kailan mo na-report yung related revenue associated with that expense. So, that's matching principle. Okay, let us now proceed to the fundamental concepts or assumptions. No? So, ito yung mga beliefs, no? Yung mga pinaniniwalaan in accounting. So, first is the entity concept. This is very basic. So, pag sinabi nating entity concept class, na, here, an accounting entity should be separate from its owners and they should be considered as separate economic entity. So, take note na kapag ikaw ay nag-business, hindi ikaw ang business and ang business ay hindi ikaw. So, you have to separate yourself from your business. So, say for example, you have 100,000. So, that 100,000 is yours, tama. But, pag pinut up mo siya into business, that 100,000 does not belong anymore to you but to your business. Kasi separate kayo, separate entity kayo ng business mo. Personal sa'yo, i-segregate mo or i-separate mo yung sa mga business mo na affairs, no? Which is, of course, transactions related sa business mo. That is why, kapag kumuha ka ng pera galing sa business mo, you have to consider it as a withdrawal. Everything is accounted for. So, common mistakes ng mga negosyante, no? Mga small, especially mga small, mga entrepreneurs is that they mixed up their personal expenses with that of the business expenses, which should not be. So, basic na assumption in accounting is that the business is not the owner and the owner is not the business. They are two separate and distinct economic entities so that you have to account everything separately. So, sample, no, bayad ka ng kuryente, kuryente yun sa bahay mo. So, that amount, pwede naman na kumuha ka ng pera from your business, but that should be accounted as withdrawal. So, it should be charged to your capital account. So, yun yung entity concept. Again, the business and the owner are two separate and distinct economic entities. So, we do not mix up personal transactions with your business transactions. Another is the periodicity concept. So, pag sinabi natin periodicity concept class, no, this is the concept which states that the life of the business is subdivided into meaningful equal time periods for reporting purposes. So, yung life of the business is, of course, matagal pa yung mag-i-exist, no? So, hindi po pwede na maghintay ka kung kailan pa mag-end ang life or kailan magsasara yung business before mo malalaman na ay nalugi na pala, ay may income pala. So that's why we have this periodicity concept wherein sinubdivide na ang life ng business into equal time periods. So usually this is 1 year. Na meron tayong tinatawag na pwedeng calendar year. So pag sinabing calendar year, nag-start ka niyan ng January 1, mag-e-end siya ng December 31. Meron din tinatawag na fiscal year. So, pag fiscal year, it starts any month of the year except for January. So, ibig sabihin ka, nag-start ka ng February 1, mag-e-end ka ng January 31. So, still, that's 1 year or 12 months. So, that's periodicity concept. Another is itong stable monetary unit na concept. So, ano naman ito, no? This has something to do with the denomination na ginagamit natin sa ating reports. So, in this concept, it considers Philippine peso, no, as a stable or reasonable unit of measure, and its purchasing power is relatively stable. It allows applying simple arithmetic in computation. So, dito sa stable monetary unit, no, ang mga reports natin should be presented in Philippine peso. So, dapat meron tayong common denominator. So, for example, ang kumpanya ay merong transactions na foreign. So, yung transactions na yun should be translated into Philippine peso because you have to present everything in terms of Philippine peso. The last assumption is itong going concern. So, ano naman yung going concern? So, this is the concept which assumes that the entity will continue its operation for a foreseeable future time. So, ibig sabihin class, no? In accounting, we assume that when a business is established, it will exist for a long time. So, in short, may forever daw, no? Dito sa going concern. So, may forever dito sa accounting, dito sa going concern. Kasi pag nag-put up ng business, ang ating assumption is that it will continue to exist, no, in the foreseeable future unless merong mga circumstances that will tell us na ay hindi na siya magiging going concern, ay magsasara na ito because pinadalhan na ng closure order, for example, ng munisipyo or ng city kasi nga meron siyang violation. So, that's a different story. But then, pag nag-establish tayo ng business, we really have this assumption that it will continue to exist over time, no? Until such time na merong mga circumstances na parang evidences na hindi na siya mag-i-exist or it will not continue to operate. So those are the four fundamental concepts or assumptions in accounting. So again, entity concept, periodicity concept, stable monetary unit concept, and going concern. So, punta tayo sa brief history ng accounting. No? Very brief lang ito. So, start tayo with the primitive accounting. So, accounting is already there, no? Hindi pa man siya na-formalize, but as early as 8,500 BC in Mesopotamia, nandiyan na yung nakita, no, yung origin of record keeping, evidenced by clay tokens, coons, discs, spears, pellets. No? So, yan yung merong mga evidence na merong record keeping during that time. So, bulle is the tokens used to deliver products. So, these are clay balls that are broken on delivery and are called as these are the first known bill of lading. So, aside from those, napalitan na yung mga clay tokens, cones, discs, spears, pellets ng wet na clay tablets. So, napalitan yung bulle or in other things used before with wet clay tablets. So, this time, mas malapad na yung sinusulatan nila. So, this is the origin of record keeping using the art of writing. Now, in the Middle Ages, dito yung maraming development na nangyari, no? So, dito kasi, ang Arabic numerals are used na that allow columns of numbers to be added and subtracted, no, in the trade of Near East to Northern Italy. So, meron ng Arabic numerals. Also, the use of credit was prevalent and a semblance of an international banking system was also functioning during that time. So, meron tayong tinatawag na kipu. This is a knotted cords of different length and colors, and they use also this in record keeping somewhere in Inca Empire and west coast of South America in the 11th to 14th centuries. So, in the 13th to 15th centuries, the developments of a more formal account keeping methods are discovered and attributed to the merchants and bankers of Florence, Venice, and Genoa. And this person here, this is Luca Pacioli. He is a Franciscan friar, a monk, no, and a celebrated mathematician. He is generally associated with the introduction of double entry bookkeeping. So, kaya meron tayong double entry bookkeeping ngayon is because of Luca Pacioli. Although, hindi talaga siya yung inventor ng double entry bookkeeping, pero siya yung nag-formalize into a book, no? Gumawa siya ng libro, nag-publish siya ng libro in 1494 entitled Summa de Arithmetica geometria, proportione, at proportionalita, or everything about arithmetic, geometry, proportions, and proportionality, which describes double entry bookkeeping. And that is why Luco Pacioli class is considered as the father of double entry accounting. Kasi nga, because of his contribution of formalizing no, the concept of double entry bookkeeping in his book published in 1494. Okay, so that will be all. No, that's the wrap for the first ULO. I'll be sending another video for the next unit learning outcome. Thank you for watching class. Bye.